Lily Brennan held a purple flower up to the sunlight, watching it glow like a tiny lantern. She was supposed to stay with her class, but the flower patch was just a few steps away, then a few more steps. Then she couldn't hear her teacher's voice anymore. The 6-year-old girl didn't panic. Her dad always said she was brave, and she believed him. The forest on Verdus 7 was pretty, with tall trees that had silver bark and leaves that hummed in the wind. She picked another flower, this one orange with blue spots. Something moved in the shadows. Lily looked up and saw 3 figures watching her. They were tall, much taller than any adult she knew. Their skin looked like green leather, and their eyes were yellow with black slits. They wore dark armor that made clicking sounds when they moved. One of them pointed at her and hissed something. Lily took a step back. Before she could scream, one of the creatures rushed forward with impossible speed. A large hand covered her mouth. She tried to bite it, but her teeth couldn't break the thick skin. Another creature pressed something cold against her neck. Lily felt her body go limp and quiet. She wanted to cry but couldn't make any sound. The creatures were Vrathians and they were smiling. To them, human children were easy money. Small, weak, and their parents always paid huge ransoms to get them back. The leader, whose name was Scarth, had done this 12 times before on different worlds. Humans were the easiest targets in the entire galaxy. They carried Lily through the forest quickly. She could see and hear everything, but her body wouldn't respond. The neural dampener they used kept her muscles frozen while her mind stayed awake and terrified. Back at the research colony, Teacher Ruth was counting heads. 23 children. Wait, she counted again. 22. Her heart dropped into her stomach. Lily Brennan? She called out, trying to keep the fear from her voice. The other children looked around. No Lily. Ruth activated her emergency comm device immediately. Security, this is Ruth Palmer. I have a missing child. 6-year-old human female. Last seen near the north perimeter. The colony alarm started within seconds. David Brennan was in the maintenance bay when he heard it. Then he heard his daughter's name. Every other thought in his mind disappeared. He ran. The security chief met him at the command center. David was off-duty military, a Marine who chose to stay with his daughter at this quiet research colony. Everyone knew him as the friendly maintenance worker who fixed broken equipment and told bad jokes. They forgot he spent 15 years hunting enemy combatants through worse terrain than this. "Show me," David said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were not. Security footage showed Lily wandering from the group. Then static. Someone used a signal jammer. Then the cameras came back online and she was gone. But in the dirt, clear as day, were footprints. 3 sets, large, reptilian. Vrathians, the security chief said. Raiders. They probably want ransom. David was already moving toward the armory. How long ago? 30 minutes. Then they're not far. David grabbed a rifle, a tracker, and a combat knife. He loaded extra ammunition into his vest. The security chief tried to say something about waiting for proper backup, about coalition protocols, about jurisdiction. David was already gone. The forest floor told him everything he needed to know. 3 Vrathians carrying extra weight moving east. They were fast but not careful. They didn't think anyone would follow this quickly. They didn't know who Lily's father was. David moved through the trees like a shadow. His military training came back instantly. Breathing slow. Steps silent. Eyes scanning. The Vrathians left broken branches and disturbed moss. To them, this was a simple job. Grab the kid, wait for the ship, collect the money. 10 kilometers from the colony, the Vrathians stopped at a small clearing. They set up an energy cage, the kind used for dangerous animals. They put Lily inside and activated it. Blue light surrounded her in a cube 3 feet on each side. The neural dampener wore off. Lily could move again. She immediately started crying and calling for her daddy. Scarth laughed. "Your daddy cannot hear you, little human. But he will hear our price. 5,000 credits in supply containers, or we take you far away." He activated his communicator and sent the ransom demand to the colony. The other Vrathians set up a small camp. They had 6 hours until their ship arrived. Easy work. They opened food containers and started a small fire. One of them complained about the boring job. Another said at least it paid well. None of them noticed the forest had gone quiet. Animals always know when a predator enters their territory. The normal sounds of insects and birds stopped. Something was watching the clearing from multiple directions. Lily sat in her cage, tears running down her face. She hugged her knees and tried to be brave like her daddy taught her. The Vrathians ignored her crying. They had heard it before from other children. Then Lily saw eyes in the darkness, low to the ground, reflecting the firelight. They weren't human eyes or Vrathian eyes. They belonged to something else entirely. The creature moved closer, staying in the shadows. It was roughly the size of a large dog but built low and powerful. Its fur was dark gray with silver stripes. When it opened its mouth slightly, Lily saw teeth designed for tearing. The Vrathians still didn't notice it. They were too busy talking about what they would buy with their ransom money. But something else had noticed the camp too. David was 300 meters away, circling around to find the best approach. He counted 6 Vrathians, all armed. He had surprise on his side, but the odds were bad. Then he heard something that made him freeze. A low growl from the opposite side of the clearing. Not human, not Vrathian. Something native to this world. David recognized that sound from the colony's wildlife briefings. Night Stalker. Called that because they hunted after dark and feared absolutely nothing. The biologists said they were the most dangerous predators on Verdus 7. Armored hide, venomous claws, terrible attitude. And one was about to walk into a camp with his daughter in it. David had to move now. The Night Stalker had been sleeping when the Vrathians set up camp 15 meters from its den. This annoyed it greatly. The creature emerged from the shadows with the confident walk of something that had never lost a fight. Its body was built like a tank with fur. Thick plates of natural armor covered its back and sides. Its claws were as long as human fingers and dripped with venom that could paralyze prey 3 times its size. Lily saw it first. She stopped crying and watched the animal approach. It moved differently than the scary aliens. There was something honest about it. It didn't sneak. It just walked forward like it owned the entire forest. One of the Vrathians finally noticed. "Scarth, we have a local animal." Scarth glanced at the Night Stalker and waved his hand dismissively. "Just a scavenger." Scare it away. The Vrathian named Drex picked up an electric prod. He walked toward the creature, making loud hissing sounds. "Go away, animal. Find your food somewhere else." The Night Stalker stopped walking. It tilted its head, studying Drex. Then it made a sound that was half growl, half laugh. The kind of sound that said it found the situation amusing. Drex jabbed the prod toward the creature. "I said move." The prod touched the Night Stalker's armored hide. Electricity crackled. The creature's fur stood up. Its eyes narrowed. Then it attacked. The Night Stalker moved like lightning covered in fur. It went under the prod and clamped its jaws on Drex's leg. The Vrathian screamed. He tried to kick the animal away, but it held on and twisted. Its claws raked upward, tearing through the raider's armor like paper. The other Vrathians grabbed their weapons. Energy blasts lit up the clearing. Most of them missed because the Night Stalker was impossibly fast. The shots that did hit bounced off its armored back or only made it angrier. Drex fell down, clutching his bleeding leg. The venom was already working. His muscles started twitching. The Night Stalker released him and turned toward the next closest Vrathian. David saw his chance. The raiders were focused on the animal. He moved to a better position behind a large tree. His rifle had a scope, and he was an excellent shot. He took aim at the Vrathian on the far left, the one who wasn't watching the fight. One squeeze of the trigger. One down. The dead raider fell without a sound. His friends didn't notice because they were too busy trying to kill the Night Stalker. The creature had already wounded 2 of them and was working on a third. Scarth finally realized what was happening. "We're being attacked from 2 sides. Find the shooter." 2 Vrathians turned away from the Night Stalker and started scanning the forest. David had already moved to a new position. He fired again. Another raider went down. 4 left. The Night Stalker killed Drex with a bite to the throat. Then it charged straight at Scarth, who was the biggest and smelled like the leader. Animals always knew who was in charge. Scarth fired his energy rifle directly at the creature's face. The Night Stalker ducked under the blast and slammed into Scarth's legs. The Vrathian leader crashed to the ground. Before he could get up, the creature was on his chest, snapping at his face. Lily watched everything from her cage. She should have been terrified, but something strange happened in her mind. The Night Stalker kept glancing at her between attacks, not like it wanted to eat her, like it was checking on her, like it was protecting her. She made a soft sound, the kind children make to calm frightened pets. It's okay. Good animal. Thank you. The Night Stalker's ear twitched at her voice. It pushed Scarth aside without killing him and moved closer to Lily's cage. The creature circled the energy field, studying it. Then it looked at Lily again. Lily reached her small hand toward the edge of the cage, as close as she could get without touching the energy field. You're helping me, aren't you? The Night Stalker made a softer sound, almost friendly. 2 remaining Varathians were trying to flank David's position. They moved quietly through the trees. David let them come. When they were close enough, he dropped from a low branch behind them. His combat knife took one in the back. The other turned and fired, but David was already rolling. He came up with his rifle and fired twice. Silence fell over the clearing except for Scarth's heavy breathing. David approached carefully, his rifle ready. Scarth was badly wounded but still alive. The Varathian leader looked up at the human walking toward him. You? Just one human did this? David didn't answer. He was looking at Lily, checking if she was hurt. Then he noticed the Night Stalker standing between him and his daughter's cage. Father and creature stared at each other. David raised his rifle slightly. The Night Stalker's muscles tensed. Daddy, no. It helped me. It fought the bad aliens. David kept his rifle pointed at the ground but ready. He studied the creature. It was wounded. 3 energy burns on its side and back, blood matting its fur, but it stood firm, watching him. Slowly, David lowered his weapon completely. You protected my daughter. The Night Stalker's posture relaxed slightly. It moved aside, no longer blocking David's path to Lily. Scarth tried to reach for his communicator. David stepped on his hand. Don't. The Coalition will hear about this. You killed Varathian citizens. There will be consequences. David looked down at him with cold eyes. You took my child. There are your consequences. He zip-tied Scarth's hands and feet, then turned to the energy cage. The control panel was simple. He deactivated it. The blue light disappeared. Lily ran out and hugged her father's legs. Daddy, the animal saved me. It fought all of them. David knelt down and held his daughter close. I know, baby, I saw. Are you hurt? No. I was scared, but the animal made me feel safe. David looked at the Night Stalker again. The creature was backing away slowly, moving toward the forest edge. It kept watching them, but seemed ready to leave. Lily pulled away from her father. Wait, she walked toward the Night Stalker. David's hand went to his rifle, but he didn't draw it. Lily stopped a few feet from the creature. It watched her with intelligent eyes. Thank you for helping me, Lily said softly. You're very brave. She took another step closer. The Night Stalker lowered its head slightly. Lily reached out and touched its scarred nose. The creature closed its eyes for a moment, accepting her touch. Then it turned and disappeared into the shadows. David heard voices in the distance. The colony rescue team was coming. He activated his comm. This is Brennan. I have Lily, she's safe. Send medical. He picked up his daughter and held her close. Lily rested her head on his shoulder.
Daddy, why did the animal help me?
David looked at the dark forest where the Night Stalker had vanished. I don't know, baby, but I'm glad it did. The Varathian clan council watched the security footage for the 3rd time. Their best raiders dead on a backwater colony, killed by one human and a local animal. Council leader Vrath slammed his fist on the table. This is unacceptable. The human murdered our people. The Galactic Coalition investigator, a tall insect-like being named Click-17, reviewed the evidence without emotion. The humans have provided complete footage. Your raiders kidnapped a child, the father responded. Coalition law permits defense of offspring. 1 human against 6 trained warriors? Impossible. Click-17 zoomed in on footage of David moving through the forest. This human has military training. Your raiders were careless. They also did not account for local wildlife. The council wanted blood, but the law was clear. They couldn't touch David. Instead, they sent warnings to other Varathian raiding parties. Be careful with human colonies. Humans are more dangerous than they look. But the warning came too late. The story was already spreading. At a trading post on the edge of Coalition space, a Drellian merchant told the story to anyone who would listen. I heard the human fought alongside a death beast. The raiders never had a chance. A Corthan pilot laughed. Humans, they're weak. Small bodies, soft skin. This story is exaggerated. Maybe, the merchant said. But would you want to test it? The pilot didn't answer. On the human military vessel Perseverance, David's story reached the crew within a day. Marines gathered in the mess hall to hear details from someone who knew someone who served with David. He tracked them through hostile forest, took out 6 raiders, and his daughter made friends with the most dangerous predator on the planet. That's impossible. The footage is real. Command verified it. The Marines started calling David by a new name, Badger, after the Earth animal that famously never backed down from a fight. The name stuck. Soon, every human military member in the sector knew the story. At the research colony, Lily went back to school. The other children asked her questions constantly. Were you scared? What did the alien animal look like? Did it really have poisonous claws? Lily drew pictures of the Night Stalker during art time. Big and strong with kind eyes. Her teacher, Ruth Palmer, noticed Lily showed no signs of trauma. Most kidnapped children needed months of therapy. Lily seemed stronger than before. Ruth was a trained biologist. She reviewed all available footage of the Night Stalker attack. Something bothered her about what she saw. The creature didn't just attack the Vrythians randomly. It specifically protected the area around Lily's cage. It checked on her multiple times during the fight. She started a research project studying Night Stalker behavior. Other biologists said she was wasting her time. They're just aggressive predators. They attack everything. Then why didn't this one attack the child? Ruth asked. No one had a good answer. Ruth wrote a paper suggesting Night Stalkers might respond to human distress signals. Something about the frequency of a child's cry or the pheromones humans released when scared. Maybe it triggered protective instincts in the creatures. The paper was rejected by every major xenobiology journal. The reviewers said she was projecting human emotions onto an animal. They said it was unscientific. They said she needed more evidence. Ruth kept researching anyway. 3 months after the Verdus incident, another human colony reported a raid. This time on a mining colony called Boreas III. The attackers were Krellian pirates known for taking slaves. They successfully captured 5 human children between ages 4 and 9. The human government exploded with anger. The Galactic Coalition offered sympathy and started an investigation that would take months. The pirates would be long gone by then. Everyone knew it. In the United Nations Security Council on Earth, representatives shouted at each other. Some wanted military action. Others worried about coalition backlash. They argued for 3 days. Then someone mentioned David Brennan, the Marine who went into a hostile forest alone and got his daughter back. What if they had a whole team of people like him? The debate ended. They authorized a new unit, officially called the Retrieval Corps, unofficially called the Badgers. David received the call while fixing a water recycler. Mr. Brennan, this is General Torres from Earth Command. We need your help training a special unit. I'm not active military anymore, General. We know. We're asking anyway. Those Krellian pirates took 5 human children. We're going to get them back. We want you to teach our team how you got your daughter back. David looked at Lily, who was doing homework at the kitchen table. She was drawing another picture of the Night Stalker. She smiled at him. When do I start? The training facility was on Earth's moon. 12 hand-picked soldiers from different countries. All had special forces experience. All volunteered. David taught them everything he knew about tracking, stealth, and close combat. The galaxy thinks humans are weak, David told them. Use that. Let them underestimate you. Then hit them so hard they never forget. He taught them to study their enemies, learn their habits, find their weaknesses. Never fight fair if you can avoid it. Protect the mission target above everything else. What if we're outnumbered? One soldier asked. You will be outnumbered, always. That's why you move at night. Hit them when they're tired. Make them afraid. Fear is a weapon. After 6 weeks, the Badgers were ready. They deployed to Krellian space with one mission. Bring the children home. The pirates never saw them coming. The Badgers infiltrated the pirate station through a waste disposal port. They moved through the corridors like ghosts. Silent, efficient, deadly. The pirates expected ransom negotiations. They got a coordinated assault that left 47 pirates dead and every human soldier alive. The 5 children were rescued within 3 hours of the team's arrival. News of the rescue spread fast. Humans had sent soldiers deep into pirate territory and completed a perfect extraction. 0 friendly casualties. All hostages recovered. The Galactic Coalition filed an official complaint about humans using excessive force in sovereign space. The human ambassador listened politely. Then she said 7 words that became famous across human colonies. Then stop taking our children. The message was received. Raids on human colonies dropped by 70% within a month. Not because of laws or treaties. Because word spread among criminals and raiders. Humans protect their young with extreme prejudice. The profit wasn't worth the risk anymore. Lily heard about the rescue while watching the news with her father. "Daddy, they called the soldiers Badgers." "Like your nickname," David smiled. "Yeah, baby. I guess they did. Because of what happened to us." "Yeah, because of what happened to us." Lily went back to her drawing. She was working on a new picture showing a person and a Night Stalker standing together. "I'm glad other kids got saved too." David hugged his daughter. Across the galaxy, 5 children were hugging their parents for the first time in months. And somewhere in the forest of Verdus 7, a scarred Night Stalker slept peacefully in its den. 10 years changed everything. Lily Brennan walked through the forest of Verdus 7 with recording equipment and food containers. She was 16 now, tall and confident. The scared little girl who once cried in an energy cage had grown into a young woman who walked among predators without fear. She stopped at a familiar clearing and set down her pack. "I know you're watching," she said to the shadows. "I brought your favorite." Something moved in the undergrowth. The Night Stalker emerged slowly. It was older now, with more gray in its fur and new scars alongside the old ones from that night long ago. But it recognized the human who once touched its nose with a small, brave hand. Lily opened a container of processed meat. The Night Stalker approached and ate carefully, watching her the entire time. This ritual had taken years to establish. Patience, respect, trust earned slowly. "I'm almost done with my research," Lily said quietly, as if talking to an old friend. "Nobody believed me when I said you protected me. They said I was just a scared child who didn't understand what she saw. But I knew the truth." The Night Stalker finished eating and sat down, still watching her. Lily activated her recording equipment. Cameras, audio sensors, and pheromone detectors surrounded the clearing. Everything approved by the colony's ethics board. She pulled up a recording on her tablet. A human baby crying. The sound filled the clearing. The Night Stalker's ears went up immediately. Its body tensed. It looked around for the source of distress. Lily stopped the recording and made notes. The reaction was identical to the 17 other tests she had run. Night Stalkers responded to human child distress calls the same way they responded to their own young in danger. "It wasn't just kindness that made you help me," Lily said softly. "You thought I was one of your babies. My crying sounded like your children crying. You couldn't help yourself. You had to protect me." The Night Stalker tilted its head, not understanding her words but responding to her calm tone. Lily pulled out more data. Frequency analysis of human children crying versus Night Stalker young. Almost identical. Human child pheromones when frightened versus Night Stalker young pheromones. 73% match. Body language. Movement patterns. All aligned. Evolution had created a bridge between species. Pure coincidence. Humans and Night Stalkers had nothing in common genetically. They evolved on planets thousands of light years apart. But somehow their young triggered the same protective responses in each other's adults. "I can prove it now," Lily told the creature. "I can show everyone that cross-species emotional bonding is real." "You weren't being nice. You were being a parent. And that's even more amazing." Her research had taken 10 years of careful observation. She had tracked 5 different Night Stalkers. She had recorded their interactions with human children under controlled, safe conditions. The pattern was consistent. Night Stalkers who encountered frightened human children tried to protect them. Every single time, the creature made a low sound, almost like a purr. It stood up and moved closer to Lily. She didn't flinch. It sniffed her hand, then walked back into the forest. "See you tomorrow," Lily called after it. That evening, Lily submitted her completed research paper, titled Cross-Species Protective Response Mechanisms, a study of human Night Stalker emotional bonding on Verdus 7. She sent it to the Galactic Coalition Xenobiology Institute. Then she waited. David found her on the colony's observation deck staring at the stars. He sat down beside his daughter. "Submitted? Yep, now we see if they actually read it this time." "They will. You have 10 years of data, video evidence, chemical analysis. They can't dismiss it as a scared child's imagination anymore." Lily smiled. "You believed me from the start. I saw what I saw. That animal protected you. I don't need a fancy degree to understand that. But now I can explain why. It's not magic or special human ability. It's biology. Evolution created compatible signals between our species completely by accident. When I cried, that Night Stalker heard its own baby crying. It had to respond. It's hardwired into their brains. David put his arm around his daughter. You've done something special, Lily. You proved that connections can exist where nobody expected them. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Coalition Xenobiology Institute published her paper in their primary journal. Not only published, but featured as the lead article. Xenobiologists across the coalition read it with growing fascination. Dr. Ruth Palmer, now the colony's head of research, threw Lily a celebration party. Scientists from 3 different species attended via video link to discuss the implications. A Drellian researcher asked, if humans and Night Stalkers can have this connection, what other species might have similar bridges? That's the question, Lily answered. I've started cataloging distress signals from different species. There might be dozens of these accidental connections throughout the galaxy. We just never looked before. The discovery changed coalition science. Research teams began studying emotional responses across species. They found a Corthan species that responded protectively to Drellian young, a Falari species that became calm around human music, a Vrathian species that showed unusual gentleness toward a specific type of plant that released chemicals similar to their own young. The galaxy was full of unexpected bridges. Biology didn't care about politics or culture. Sometimes evolution just created connections, and beings responded to them whether they understood them or not. 6 months after her paper was published, Lily received an invitation to speak at the Coalition Science Summit on Earth. She was the youngest speaker ever invited. David insisted on coming with her. They traveled to Earth together, the first time either had left Verdus 7 since Lily was a child. At the summit, Lily stood before an audience of 2,000 scientists from across the galaxy. She told them about the night she was kidnapped, about the Night Stalker that saved her, about 10 years of patient research. We spend so much time looking for differences between species. Lily concluded, maybe we should spend more time looking for connections. They're there. We just have to be willing to see them. The audience gave her a standing ovation, not just the human scientists, all of them. After her speech, a reporter asked David how it felt watching his daughter present groundbreaking research. Proud, David said simply, but not surprised. She was always brave. Even when she was 6 years old and scared, she saw a terrifying creature and chose to trust it. That takes real courage. The creature that saved her, does she still see it? Every day. They're friends now. The reporter looked skeptical. Friends? With a predator? David smiled. My daughter makes friends with anything brave enough to protect children. Turns out that includes some of the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. That quote made headlines across human space. Alongside it, a picture of teenage Lily calmly sitting 3 meters from a full-grown Night Stalker, both of them at peace in the forest. The image became famous. Not because it was shocking, but because it was simple, a human and an alien creature, connected by something deeper than language or culture, connected by the universal instinct to protect the young. Back on Verdus 7, the Night Stalker that started everything slept in its den. It dreamed whatever Night Stalkers dream, maybe about the small human who once trusted it, maybe about the crying child it couldn't help but protect, or maybe it just dreamed about its next meal. Sometimes deep truths are also simple truths. The creature had done what its instincts demanded. The human had been brave enough to see past her fear. Together, they had taught the galaxy something new. The criminal underworld had its own communication network, faster than any official channels. News traveled through bars, trading posts, and smuggler routes. Everyone heard the same message. Stay away from human children. A Krellian smuggler named Voss sat in a dingy bar on Station 12, drinking something that burned going down. His partner, a nervous Falari named Pip, kept glancing at the news feeds. Another Badger mission, Pip said quietly. They hit the Salen slavers yesterday. Recovered 7 human kids. Every slaver dead, Voss grunted. Salen crew was 40 strong. How many Badgers? 4. Voss drank in silence. 4 humans against 40 trained slavers, and the humans won without losing anyone. That wasn't normal. Remember when humans first joined the coalition, Voss said. Everyone thought they were easy marks, small, weak, soft. That was 15 years ago. Yeah, before Verdus 7, before the Badgers. Before everyone figured out what happens when you threaten their young. Pip pulled up a file on his datapad. Look at this. In the last 10 years, raids on human colonies dropped 87%. Not because of laws, because raiders are scared. Smart raiders are scared, Voss corrected. Stupid ones keep trying, and they keep dying. The door to the bar opened. 3 Vrathians walked in loud and drunk. One of them was bragging. Humans are cowards. They only fight when they have advantages. In a fair fight, they're nothing. Everyone in the bar got quiet. Voss sighed and turned to the Vrathians. Friend, take some advice from someone older. Don't test that theory, the Vrathian sneered. Why, you afraid of the humans? Respectful of them. There's a difference. They're prey species. Look at them. No claws, no armor. No natural weapons. They're weak. An old Korthan at the bar spoke up, his voice rough. I fought in the border wars before humans joined the coalition. You know what I learned? The species that looks most dangerous usually isn't. It's the clever ones you have to watch. The ones who use tools. Who adapt. Who refuse to quit, the Vrathian laughed. Old fool, the Korthan finished his drink. I'm alive. 30 years of combat and I'm alive because I learned to recognize real threats. You want to test humans? Go ahead. Your funeral. The Vrathians left, still laughing. Voss shook his head. Some people have to learn the hard way. 2 weeks later, those same Vrathians tried to raid a human agricultural colony. The Badgers arrived within 6 hours. Only one Vrathian survived to tell the story. He spent the rest of his life warning others to leave humans alone. David Brennan reviewed mission reports in his office on Luna Base. He was officially a training instructor now, but he still consulted on active operations. The Badgers had completed 73 missions in 10 years. 73 successes, 147 human hostages recovered, 0 losses. General Torres entered without knocking. She did that. We have a problem. What kind? Political. The coalition is pushing back against our operations. Several member species are complaining that humans are too aggressive. David raised an eyebrow. Too aggressive at rescuing kidnapped children? They're calling it vigilante justice, saying we should work through official channels. Official channels take months. Children don't have months. Torres sat down heavily. I agree with you, but we're getting pressure from Earth government. They're worried about our coalition membership. David pulled up a map showing human colonies across the galaxy. Red dots marked locations of kidnapping attempts over the last decade. Most of the red dots were from the first 3 years. Recent years showed mostly green. Green meant no attempts. Show them this, David said. Kidnappings dropped because raiders know we'll come for them. The Badgers aren't just a rescue unit. We're a deterrent. The coalition doesn't see it that way. The coalition didn't care when it was human children being taken. They filed reports and held meetings. We got our people back. Torres nodded slowly. I'll present your argument. But David, be prepared. They might shut down the program. After she left, David looked at the wall of his office. Photos of every child the Badgers had rescued. 73 missions. 147 faces. All alive because humans decided their children were worth fighting for. His communicator buzzed. It was Lily calling from Verdus 7. Hey Dad, bad time? Never a bad time for you. How's the research? Amazing. I've got 3 new papers in peer review, but I'm calling about something else. I saw the news. Coalition wants to shut down the Badgers? Might politics. Lily was quiet for a moment. Dad, I've been thinking. My research shows that protective instincts are universal. Every species protects its young. The difference is humans are really good at it. We're pack-bonded. We coordinate. We use tools and tactics. We don't give up. Your point? My point is that's not a weakness. That's a strength. The galaxy needs to understand that humans protecting their children isn't aggression. It's nature. We're just better at it than most species. David smiled. You planning to tell the coalition that? I'm planning to publish it. Let them read it in a science journal. Maybe if they understand the biology behind human protective behavior, they'll stop calling it excessive. Lily, you're going to write a paper defending the Badgers. I'm going to write a paper explaining human nature. If it helps the Badgers, that's just good science informing good policy. After they hung up, David felt better. His daughter was going to fight the battle with research and data. He had fought with tactics and training. Together, they were showing the galaxy who humans really were. The Coalition Science Summit met 3 months later. Lily presented her new paper titled Protective Instincts Across Species: Understanding Human Pack Bonding and Child Defense Mechanisms. She explained how human evolution created extremely strong bonds between adults and children. She showed data comparing human responses to child endangerment versus other species. She demonstrated that human protective behavior wasn't excessive. It was actually normal for their biology. Other species just didn't understand it. Humans evolved as cooperative hunters, Lily explained to the assembled scientists. We survived because we protected each other, especially our young. This isn't cultural. It's biological. Expecting humans not to respond to endangered children is like expecting a Drellian not to breathe. It's fundamental to what we are. The paper was published. It was read by coalition leaders. It was debated in council chambers. 3 weeks later, the coalition dropped all complaints against the Badger program. Not because they suddenly loved humans, because Lily had shown them the science. Arguing against human biology was pointless. Humans were going to protect their children. Period. General Torres called David with the news. Your daughter just saved the program. She's good at that. Saving things, I mean. David, the coalition added something interesting to their ruling. They said that any species that deliberately targets human children will receive no diplomatic protection. Essentially, they made it legal for us to do what we're doing. David leaned back in his chair. How did that happen? Lily's paper scared them. If human protective instincts are biological, then humans will keep coming no matter what laws they pass. Better to make it legal and take credit for supporting it. Smart politics or smart science. Your daughter changed the rules by explaining the game. That night, David called Lily. You did it. The program is safe. I just told the truth, Dad. Humans protect their children. Always have. Always will. The galaxy needed to understand that. They understand now. Lily laughed. Good. Now maybe they'll stop taking our kids. They already have. Incidents are down 92%. Then the Badgers worked. And science worked. And maybe the galaxy is a little bit safer. David looked at the photos on his wall again. 147 children. All safe, all home. Thanks to you and the people like you. You proved humans aren't just fighters. We're protectors. We learned from the best, Dad. You went into a forest alone to get me back. You showed everyone what humans do for their children. I just did what any parent would do. Exactly. And that's what made it special. 20 years after that night in the forest, Lily Brennan returned to the clearing where everything changed. She was 26 now, with a doctorate in xenobiology and 3 published books. Her work on cross-species emotional bonding had opened entirely new fields of study. Universities across the galaxy taught her theories. Her name was known in scientific circles from Earth to the Coalition's edge. But today she came as something simpler. A friend visiting another friend. David walked beside her, older and moving a bit slower. He had retired from the Badgers 5 years ago, though he still consulted sometimes. His hair was gray now and he used a cane on rough terrain. The forest hadn't changed, but they had. You think it's still alive? David asked. Night Stalkers can live 30 years. It's possible. They reached the clearing. The exact spot where Lily had been held in an energy cage, where a creature had fought aliens to protect a child it didn't know, where a father had become a legend. Lily set down her pack and called out, Hello, old friend. It's me. Nothing happened for a long moment. David started to suggest maybe the creature had moved on. Then something stirred in the shadows. The Night Stalker emerged slowly. It was ancient now, fur almost completely gray. Its movements were stiff. One eye was clouded. Scars covered its body like a map of every fight it had survived. But it remembered. When it saw Lily, it made a sound that was almost happy. There you are, Lily said softly, her voice thick with emotion. I was worried I'd never see you again. The old Night Stalker approached carefully. Lily knelt down, bringing herself to its level. The creature sniffed her hand, then pressed its scarred nose against her palm. David watched his daughter and the creature that saved her life. 2 decades ago, this would have terrified him. Now it just made him smile. I brought something for you, Lily said, opening her pack. She pulled out fresh meat, the expensive kind imported from Earth. Your favorite. The Night Stalker ate slowly, its old teeth making the work harder than it used to be. When it finished, it lay down near Lily, content. Lily carefully examined its body. You're hurt. Your right back leg. David knelt down too, his old knees protesting. Can you help it? Maybe. I have medical supplies. She pulled out her veterinary kit. Years of working with Night Stalkers had taught her their medicine. The creature trusted her completely, letting her clean and treat the infected wound on its leg. You fought something recently, Lily said while she worked. Something with claws. You should be more careful, old friend. The Night Stalker made a soft sound. David could almost imagine it saying, I'm a Night Stalker. Being careful isn't in my nature. When Lily finished, the three of them sat together in the clearing. Human, and alien predator, connected by one night 20 years ago when instinct and courage had intersected. Do you remember? Lily asked the creature. I was so scared. You could have ignored me, gone back to your den, but you didn't. You fought for me. David spoke quietly. I never properly thanked you. You saved my daughter before I could reach her. You kept her safe. The Night Stalker looked at both of them with its one good eye. It couldn't understand their words, but it understood their tone. These humans were grateful. These humans were friends. They sat in silence for a while, just being together. Then Lily pulled out her data pad. I want to show you something. Both of you. She brought up a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked every location where her research had discovered cross-species protective bonding. Hundreds of dots, dozens of species. You started this, she told the Night Stalker. When you protected me, you proved something nobody believed possible. Different species can care for each other. Evolution created bridges we never knew existed. She zoomed in on human space. And Dad, what you did inspired the Badgers. You showed that protecting children is worth any risk. In 20 years, they've saved over 400 kids. 400 families got to stay together because you went into a forest alone. David shook his head. I just did what needed doing. That's what makes it special. You didn't think about being a hero. You thought about your daughter. Every Badger since has done the same. They don't fight for glory. They fight because human children need protecting. Lily switched to another image, statistics showing the decline in kidnapping attempts across all human colonies. It worked. Raids dropped by 94%. Know why? Because the galaxy learned. Humans protect their young, always, without exception, and we're very good at it. The Night Stalker yawned, showing its old teeth. It was getting tired. Lily put away her data pad and gently stroked its head. Sleep, friend. We'll stay with you. The creature closed its eyes and drifted off. Its breathing became slow and steady. Lily and David sat on either side, keeping watch like the Night Stalker had once kept watch over a frightened child. Is this the last time? David asked quietly. Maybe, it's very old, but I'm glad we came. Me too. They stayed until sunset painted the sky orange and purple. The Night Stalker slept peacefully, dreaming whatever dreams old warriors dream. When it finally woke, it stood slowly and looked at them one last time. Then it turned and walked into the forest. Not running like it used to, just walking steadily one step at a time. It disappeared into the shadows where Night Stalkers belonged. Lily wiped tears from her eyes. Thank you, she called after it. For everything. David put his arm around his daughter. Ready to go home? Yeah, but Dad, I want to come back next month. Check on it, make sure it's okay. We'll come back every month if you want. That animal earned that much. They walked back to the colony together, father and daughter. Behind them, the clearing stood empty. But it wasn't really empty. It was full of memory, full of the night when a human child, a human father, and an alien predator had proven that courage and protection transcend species. 3 months later, Lily found the Night Stalker's body near its den. It had died peacefully in its sleep, surrounded by the forest it had called home for 3 decades. She buried it in the clearing where they first met. David helped her place stones to mark the spot. Other colonists came to pay respects. Even people who had never met the creature knew its story. Ruth Palmer, now elderly herself, said words over the grave. This creature saved a child through instinct and protected her through choice. It showed us that connections exist where we never thought to look. We honor its memory. Lily placed a plaque on the largest stone. It read, Here rests a Night Stalker who protected a human child. May all species learn from its courage. News of the creature's death spread across human space. The Badgers observed a moment of silence in its honor. Children in schools learned about the Night Stalker that started it all. Scientists referenced Lily's original encounter in their papers about cross-species bonding. On Earth, someone created a statue. It showed a small girl reaching out to touch a fierce creature. Both were unafraid. The statue was placed at the entrance to the Galactic Studies building. The plaque beneath it read, "They went after a human child, but the honey badger got there first." Lily stood before the statue during its unveiling. Reporters asked her about the Night Stalker, about the badgers, about her father. "What would you want people to remember?" One reporter asked. Lily thought about that night 20 years ago, about being 6 years old and terrified, about a creature that could have left her but didn't, about a father who walked through danger without hesitation, about how one moment can change everything. "Remember that protection is universal," she said. "Every species protects their young. Humans are just very, very good at it. And remember that sometimes the scariest creatures have the biggest hearts. Fear and courage can exist in the same moment. Love and fierceness can be the same thing." "And the Night Stalker? What would you say to it if you could?" Lily smiled through tears. "I'd say what I said when I was 6 years old. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for showing the galaxy that different doesn't mean enemy." That interview played on news channels across human space. Children watched it in classrooms. Parents played it for their kids at bedtime. The story became legend. But for Lily, it was never just a story. It was a memory of the day she learned that courage comes in many forms, that protection transcends species, that love in its way is universal. David watched the interview from his home on Verdus 7. His daughter, speaking with confidence about science and emotion and the night that changed both their lives. He was so proud he could barely stand it. Outside his window, the forest stretched toward the horizon. Somewhere in those trees, new night stalkers were raising their young, teaching them to hunt, teaching them to be fierce, teaching them to protect what mattered. And on hundreds of human colonies across the galaxy, parents tucked their children into bed safely. The badgers stood ready if danger came. Scientists studied bonds between species. Teachers told the story of a girl and a creature who became friends. The galaxy had learned its lesson. You can threaten many things. You can raid ships. You can steal cargo. You can even challenge human adults. But you don't go after human children. Because humans protect their young with everything they have. And sometimes they have unexpected allies. Fierce creatures. Loyal friends. Warriors who fight not for glory but for love. 20 years ago, 3 Vrathian raiders learned that lesson too late. They went after a human child. But the honey badger got there first. And nothing in the galaxy was quite the same after that.